Scientists have long struggled to understand the mysterious wanderings of cougars across America's remote landscapes. What they didn't reveal until now was a covert tracking initiative quietly unfolding behind the scenes. This top-secret program was designed to follow cougars as they moved silently across state borders. Using satellite GPS collars, wildlife officials have been mapping movements most believed were impossible to predict. Cougars, also known as mountain lions, have roamed North America for thousands of years, mostly unseen. Despite their wide range, cougars are solitary, elusive, and almost invisible to the untrained human eye. Over the last decade, however, wildlife encounters have risen in places where cougars weren't seen before. Reports from urban neighborhoods, schoolyards, and public parks have sounded alarms in multiple U.S. states. But how were officials able to respond so quickly and with such precise information each time? Turns out, behind closed doors, wildlife agencies were already watching, but not just with binoculars. The secret program, now public, involved fitting cougars with highly advanced GPS-enabled tracking devices. These devices updated the animals' locations every few hours, sometimes even down to street level. This allowed wildlife experts to monitor migration routes, hunting patterns, and interactions with human communities. Over time, they began to build an unprecedented digital map of cougar behavior across the continent. The program was first launched quietly in states like Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado cougar strongholds, but soon it spread into unexpected territory like Illinois, Michigan, and even the outskirts of New York. One male cougar tracked from South Dakota walked over 1,500 miles before being detected near Connecticut. This confirmed what biologists had long suspected: cougars were reclaiming historic ranges across the East. But this movement came with complications, namely, how to protect humans and animals from conflict. With GPS tracking, agencies could predict when a cougar approached urban areas and issue alerts early. This proved especially effective in California, where wildfires pushed mountain lions closer to human communities. In places like Los Angeles, residents unknowingly shared the hills with collared cougars for years. P-22, the famous Hollywood Hills cougar, became the poster child for this secretive tracking program. His GPS collar allowed scientists to understand how he navigated roads, homes, and even highways. Without the collar, officials admit they never would have known how frequently he crossed human paths. The program collected thousands of data points, creating behavioral models previously impossible to assemble. Some patterns were predictable, like nocturnal hunting or territory boundaries marked by scent. Others were shocking, including daylight activity in crowded suburbs and return visits to residential areas. Officials kept this quiet to prevent public panic and avoid interfering with data-gathering operations. Only recently did internal documents reveal just how widespread the surveillance program had become. Over 500 cougars are currently being tracked in real time across more than 15 different U.S. states. These efforts have contributed to groundbreaking studies published in leading wildlife conservation journals. But not everyone is happy about the revelation, including privacy advocates and some rural residents. Some argue GPS tracking could be misused or extended to humans under certain emergency policies. Others worry the collars themselves may harm the animals or alter their natural behaviors over time. Wildlife officials insist the collars are designed to minimize interference and detach after several months. They also argue the data has prevented dozens of potentially dangerous encounters from escalating. In Montana, for example, officials redirected a cougar from a school zone without public knowledge. In Arizona, they tracked a female cougar that had given birth near a heavily trafficked hiking trail. Using the data, they rerouted hikers and monitored her den site until the cubs safely moved on. This kind of real-time intervention is only possible because of the technology behind the secret program. As the data pours in, researchers are also noticing trends linked to climate change and habitat loss. Cougars are moving into higher elevations and cooler latitudes to escape warming temperatures and wildfires. They're also increasingly squeezed by urban expansion, highways, and fragmented wilderness corridors. Some wildlife biologists are now lobbying for federally protected cougar migration routes between states. This would ensure the big cats can travel safely between habitats without crossing into danger zones. Meanwhile, lawmakers are beginning to debate the legal and ethical implications of secret wildlife surveillance. Do these programs require public oversight, or does the science justify keeping them confidential? In many cases, state agencies partnered with universities and private conservation groups to avoid bureaucracy. This meant the public was never informed about what data was collected or where it was stored. Now that the program is exposed, wildlife advocates are calling for transparency and clearer guidelines. They want guarantees that data won't be sold, leaked, or used beyond wildlife conservation purposes. Others argue these programs should be expanded, not restricted, to protect humans and cougars alike. As cougar sightings continue rising in suburban backyards and urban greenbelts, the need is undeniable. These animals are no longer staying hidden in remote mountains or distant forests like before. Cougars are adapting quickly, living near people, learning from patterns, and changing their daily routines. The GPS data reveals some cougars now avoid streets on trash day to limit human encounters. Others use train tracks or irrigation canals as travel corridors through populated areas. In many ways, these animals are evolving alongside us, learning our behaviors as closely as we study theirs. This raises deeper questions. How do we coexist with wild apex predators in human spaces? And how much should we be allowed to monitor them as they adapt to our presence? The secret US tracking program may have started quietly, but its implications are now wide open. It has reshaped how we understand cougars, how we manage wildlife, and how we protect ourselves. With more transparency, public trust in these programs could grow if ethical lines are clearly drawn. For now, the collars keep beeping, the satellites keep recording, and the cougars keep walking unseen. Their steps are silent, but the data tells a louder story, one we're just beginning to read. As the wild shifts around us, it's not just about the animals anymore, it's about us too.